Everyone. My name is Ashish, and I'm head of product development and competencies at Fosfor. So let's start with what does Fosfor really stand for. Now, Fosfor draws its inspiration from the word phosphorescence, substance emitting light. And as the name suggests, our drive really is to help customers, clients find the true potential of data. And what we really believe in is, if you look at how key e-commerce brought in, products on our fingertips by the fastest possible manner, we believe that data commerce will be the method to monetize data at speed and at scale. And at Phosphor, we enable data commerce through an offering of a suite of 5 products that really help in the data to decisions lifecycle. Now, what does that really mean, and what do these 5 products stand for? I think to get to that, I want to draw out, why is data so important from where we stand today, right? And I think data obviously has come a long way on its own evolution, and to me, it's analogous to how we as humans have evolved, right? So it took some time for us to realize that besides our strength, our true differentiation really was our ability to think, to question, right, to find the meaning, and then to that ability to understand that all of us are different, and hence there are going to be these clusters that they will have to work, in some kind of a fabric way to connect with each other, right? And if we sort of draw that out to where we are today, very clearly, we are in such an interconnected way. It's so much more powerful, that it's really hard to imagine how we've really come a long way. Data to me is also in a very similar evolution. I mean, if I go back to data on tapes, working on mainframes, green screens, to where we are today, I think the next gen products are going to be the products which will go beyond just the strength of data. They have to look at meaning behind the data. They have to look at the connectedness of data. Look for the what is the fabric of a data journey. I mean, how are these all connected, and then draw the insights that will make businesses differentiate themselves from their competition, right? And Phosphor really is driven by this understanding of data. And so what that really means for us is that we want to offer to customers a suite of products that enables data commerce for these unlimited enterprises. And what are these products really like? I mean, that's your next question. What are these 5 products in Phosphor Suite? Let me just quickly share a slide, and I'll take you through each one of them at a very high level. And our intention today really is to spend time on each one of them and take you guys through what these products really stand for. Okay, so very quickly. So what are these 5 products that Phosphor has in its armor? Let me take you through them very quickly. At the very beginning of the products that we offer is Spectra. And so Spectra is really meant for data engineers. And the objective here is to provide DataOps for modern stack. So if you're an organization which has data, whether it's in legacy systems, on cloud, on data warehouses, how do you enable that data to be consumed downstream? Spectra sits in and enables your data engineers to do exactly that. And in case you're an organization which is also sitting on unstructured data, then how do you use this data for downstream systems or even building applications is where Aspect steps in. It's targeted at business analysts. And the objective is to provide a no-code platform, very simple no-code platform for business analysts to unleash the value of their unstructured data. And so as a combination, Spectra and Aspect sort of solve the core need in that data to decisions value chain, right? At the very beginning, how do you enable data to be available for any downstream activity? So Spectra and Aspect do that. Now, once you've done that, you really enable the organization to be able to consume data. And hence, the third user persona for us is data consumers. And they come in different shapes and forms, right? And what really a data consumer is looking to do is he has a certain data journey. Is there a product which is able to cater to that journey in discoverability, in provisioning, in consuming assets that an organization might be sitting on? So Optic is our a great product that Fosfor has. And what we do is we enable data consumers in this journey. And once you've kind of found the assets that you want to work with, largely your next set is to enable your data scientists to build applications as quickly as possible. And what Phosphor provides is a platform called Refract. What Refract enables is it empowers businesses to scale AI. It empowers businesses to build their applications as quickly as possible, and also have a view of how many applications do we have, are they live, how they're performing. All of that sense is available on this platform. And as you've done your data to discoverability to building an application, the end goal, of course, in the data to insights or data decisions journey is to enable the business user to take decisions. And that's where our last product comes in, which is Lumen. And Lumen really is targeted at business users, and it's an ability to personalize the insights journey that business users take. So largely accentuate their curiosity with this is what you might want to look at, this is what is impacting your business. So whether it's search driven insights or it's autonomous insights, Lumen provides all of that across the insights value chain. And so collectively, from Spectra to Lumen, the Phosphor suite of offerings solves for that need that unlimited enterprise will have to really find the value of their underlying data assets. Right. So this, of course, was a quick sort of overview of our products. We really want today now is to take you through each one of these products in slightly deeper detail. And we have our product managers, product owners who are going to do exactly that. You'll find how passionate they are and what they're trying to solve for. And to really head start that, I'll now request Chetan, who is the product manager for Spectra, to take over from me and take you guys through the awesomeness called Spectra. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ashish. My name is Chetan Bes. I am a technology enthusiast passionate about building things and solving for a change. As a product manager at Fosfor, I head product development and management for our data platform called Spectra. Today, we'll spend some time on how we look at modern data ops in the enterprise data analytics ecosystem as it plays its role in the data to decisions lifecycle. What is your strategy for enterprise data analytics? This is a question that any C suite executive is comfortable answering today. In fact, for many, in a data driven organization, their entire existence depends on efficiently answering the question. But this wasn't always the case. Enterprise data organizations have seen a sea of change in how they are positioned in context to the business in last couple of decades. From being an afterthought to being the necessary hygiene to being the key driver for business success, we have witnessed a really impressive transition for data organizations through all this. The key drivers for data organization in early 2000 was record keeping. Distributed business applications that served at the edge, copying their data to central data warehouses for continuity and compliance was largely the need back then. Consumption of any such centrally stored data wasn't really much of a concern for the enterprises. Data orchestration was the flavor of the season for any data tools that operated in that landscape during that era. We moved to the last decade where we have seen enterprises realize true potential in their enterprise data assets and have scrambled towards doing even more centralized storage, adding new data varieties like unstructured or semi structured content to it at unconventional velocities like in streaming fashion and at unprecedented volumes. With all such data at one place, naturally the next important thing was to ring fence it and enforce more elaborate access control and governance. And that's where we saw a sharp focus on tooling for setting up data lakes, curating purpose built data marts, enforcing granular data governance, and security lineages, etc. While these still are very fundamental components of an enterprise data ecosystem, even today, the whole approach of centrally owned and managed data estate was in for a shakedown. Today's businesses hold data driven decision making at the core of their business model. And this has, for the first time, translated into a need for a very high visibility and access for enterprise data assets across an organization. The focus is now on serving the data to its consumers so that distributed departmental teams are able to use it in their business decision workflows, making them agile and independent. For the modern data platforms, this demands for a more democratized access to data, easy to use and low code design interfaces, and higher domain contextualization for distributed departmental teams. All this while adhering to the set security and governance practices. This paradigm shift in centrally managed from centrally owned and managed data estate to a decentralized and federated data ecosystem, which calls for higher collaboration, contextualization, and coverage for today's data organization, is what is data ops. And modern data ops is how this is being addressed across the industry. While one could argue that data operations at its core is not a new concept and has been around since decades, the asks from it have kept getting more elaborate through every stage of evolution of enterprise data organization. So, modern data ops, as it solves for today's needs of a data organization, is of relevance to this discussion today. Gartner defines data ops as a collaborative data management practice focused on improving the communication, integration, and automation of data flows between data managers, data consumers across organizations. It seeks to provide the tools, processes, and organizational structure to effectively fulfill this significant expectation from modern data enterprises. What's really important for us to understand here is the core solve for data ops, and it is agility. Agility primarily for the consumers of data. In a conventional data enterprises, these are the business analysts, data scientists, and decision makers who need to take quick decisions to react to business needs that evolve in the market. Modern day data ops prescribes use of technology to bring in higher levels of automation across the life cycle of a data project, or as it is called in data ops, a data product. Right from concept to development to deployment to ongoing operational monitoring and last mile data delivery to its intended consumers. Through such optimization of enterprise data and analytics value chain, distributed domain centric data teams are now able to build their own data products and achieve a higher efficiency and an unparalleled agility in conducting their day to day data operations. Coming to Spectra, which is our data platform which solves for data ops. It's a new age data platform from our Fosfor suite of products aimed at helping enterprises realize the needs of setting up modern data ops practices in their data ecosystem. It allows its users to create domain centric data products for data integration, ingestion, transformation, and data preparation in a low code, no code manner. This becomes a vital component in data to decisions value chain to bring in relevant data from hybrid and hyper distributed data ecosystem, integrate them and enrich such data and make it available for businesses to take calls based on the business intelligence and AI ML channels. An integrated data discovery module to find data relevant to a subject, decoupled design and processing environments that enable build once and run anywhere, anytime kind of a model, support for cloud native processing engines such as Snowflake, Databricks Spark, Azure HD Insight, AWS EMR, BigQuery, and many more for greater flexibility of execution, push down optimization with cloud native data warehouses for an improved performance and data security, support for stream and batch analytics to handle both big and small data pipelines, DevOps integration for seamless project management are some of the many nifty capabilities that the platform today has. What is important for us to know note here is that data ops is a practice, not a product. It requires tools with relevant capabilities, processes to ensure their right usage and discipline, and an organization structure that is conducive for its adoption. If you are looking towards setting this up in your organization, focus on tools, processes, and structure that enables improved agility for your data teams. Agility in terms of access to data, speed of developing new data products, technology choice and movement thereof, performance at scale, support for domain context, and alignment with DevOps practices. That was all about data ops as we solve it with Spectra. Thank you. Now we'll move on to Sanchit to hear more about how we solve things with aspect in the data to decisions lifecycle.
Thank you, Chetan, for giving us insights on Spectra, that how it actually helps solve the problems and enables the data to decisions life cycle. Hello, everyone. My name is Sanchit Mehrotra, and I am the product manager for Aspect by Fosfor. I like to build products, especially I like to enable AI or give AI in the hands of the business users. Well, today we will dig deep and look at how Aspect, an intelligent document processing platform, part of the Phosphor suite, how it enables or how it actually serves and solves for the data to decisions lifecycle. Well, before we actually start digging deep and knowing more about unstructured data, I would like to ask a question. I would like to pose a question here, that how often, as a business user, you realize that you are slammed with a lot of unstructured content available in documents, images. Think about, as simple as the problems such as knowing your customers better with their ID cards or identity cards. Similarly, your procurement department is having a lot of invoices available to be processed. The data could be available in the PDF format already scanned, or it could be just a document and an image not yet scanned and available in the paper format. We all have seen that, we all have lived that, but somehow the unstructured data lives the way that it is, and the paper keeps getting piled up. The reality is that 80% of the unstructured data, or 80% of the enterprise data, is actually unstructured, and it comes in different formats and varieties, different extensions. I mean, if it is not even scanned, it will be available in the paper format. Otherwise, it could be an image, it could be a PDF, it could be a document, it could be an image-based PDF or XLS data. If we are really not processing it and making it part of decisions, day-to-day decisions, then we are leaving a lot of value on the table. Either we are processing them manually or not even processing at all. These are some of the examples within the documents and images, that some could be having layouts available. So if it is an ID card, it will have a layout. If it is, let's say, a pay stub, or let's say a loan form, it might not always follow the template. It might be very complex, and if we talk about manufacturing data, it could be even complex, the image-based data. So the challenges with the unstructured data is actually real. Now, not only that, but your business users who are actually dealing with these type of unstructured data, or your customers, for both of them, there are different set of challenges. For customers, it is possible that the experience that we are giving to them is really going bad, because let's say, for a simple onboarding process, we are taking 5 days to onboard a customer just because it is stuck in the KYC process. Or for your actual business process users, it is possible that they are focusing on processing these documents manually but not attending customers. So they're actually not focusing on their core job but dealing with the set of documents available with them. Or think about launching a new offering altogether. How about doing the automated KYC, or the self-serve mediclaim process if you're an insurance company? We are actually losing out on many such business opportunities if we are not dealing with the unstructured data and just keeping it available with us, right? Now, what you actually need to solve this challenge of unstructured data and documents and images is the intelligent document processing platform. Intelligent document processing platform is something that actually leverages AI to deal with or process the unstructured content, unlike its earlier legacy systems such as OCRs, which are always template based or the format based systems. IDP, on the other hand, actually learns the context and can actually recognize the values, the key values, or the different types of formats and printed, handwritten data in a more intelligent fashion. Now, a typical IDP for enterprise should allow to actually ingest the documents from different sources, be it the cloud storages, on-prem storages, or applications where the data is existing. And largely, IDP will have three steps to process that data. It will have a pre-processing, so whatever it takes to do the data extraction, to clean up the data before the data extraction, to make it available for the data extraction, all those functions and steps actually go into the pre-processing step. Be it, let's say, clearing up the images if it is blurred or if it is skewed, or to classify the content, whether it is a maybe a customer ID card or it is a pay stub. It can actually classify in the pre-processing step. Further, the data extraction step comes in where it actually is based on natural language processing, which is completely AI based, to identify name entities, to identify tabular data available, or to apply computer vision to identify signature or maybe MICR code, or even identify or recognize a photo available within the document. Not only that, but data extraction should also allow certain text mining features such as sentiment analysis, intent analysis, summarization of the content. All these are the core features or core things that we should look out for when we are actually finding out the best IDPs. Now, not only that, I mean, once the data is extracted, to make it consumption ready, we need post processing, which basically will allow us to apply certain rules in an automated way to process that data in a more better way, that it is can be consumed by the applications downstream. And IDP should also actually allow integrations with the applications or automation systems or visualization or analytics systems. Now, so to basically solve for unstructured data and to allow for all of these functions in an IDP, we have actually launched Aspect. Aspect is our no-code, completely self-serve platform for business users to process the unstructured data and make the extracted structured data part of the decisions cycle. It actually is completely context-based document processing platform. It actually doesn't rely on the formats and templates at all. It provides a lot of different toolkits to process the unstructured data, including language identification to language translation, to making the PDF from image-based to searchable PDF converters. Also, to process different types of data such as printed, handwritten, MICR code, barcodes, all of the different complexities that we actually see in the enterprise today. Not only that, but it also allows for integration capabilities with the upstreams and downstream systems. And actually, it has a API suite which can help integrate within the ecosystem, right? Now, Aspect actually solves for not only just digitization of the paper content that is available, but it can also enable analytics on the unstructured data. You can actually kind of develop applications to, let's say, ask questions on the documents, or you can also automate a business process wherever there are documents. So you can actually, automate the entire business process with Aspect, which will enable the automated way of data extraction from the documents and make it part of the decisions cycle downstream. All of these capabilities, while Aspect is power packed in terms of features, its features, but all of these features and the entire platform is actually available to provide the extraction of content in a lightning speed. It actually helps business users to develop the solutions within 15 minutes, So all it takes is just few clicks to actually develop a solution. Even a business users can do it, and it requires only 50 documents to give 90% plus accuracy. And once the solution is developed, we can actually continue to process the documents in stream or in batches, and aspect actually learns over time and makes the data extraction even better to reach the human scale in terms of, or the accuracy beyond a human can achieve in the limited time. So next time when you think that you are stuck with unstructured data, and you're not able to make that unstructured data part of your day-to-day decisions, you should definitely try out Aspect platform, part of the Phosphor suite. Uh, and I'm sure that it will actually enable unstructured data processing quite seamlessly for your business processes. Thank you. Over to you, Sajid, for the next session for to guide us on how Optic is enabling the data to decisions cycle. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sajid, and I'm the product manager for Product Optic. And thank you, Sanchit. That was really wonderful. What we'll do is in the data chain, I'll explain how Optic fits in, and we'll try to understand what problems does Optic solve. uh, for the past couple of years, we have evolved from the way cataloging tools were solving problem versus what's in the future, and what are we doing about it, and how are we taking a vision into reality. So I'll speak about more into uh, how Optic is enabling a data analytics with a data fabric approach. So with that, I'll share my screen, and we'll go into deeper elements of how Optic works, and we'll understand about really interesting facts about it. I hope you're able to see my screen. So once again, thank you everyone, and welcome. So the first question that comes into picture is, how does Optic fits into the whole ecosystem? So in the enterprise layout, there are five products that Phosphor has to offer, wherein Spectra, Aspect, Optic, Reflect, and Lumen. So Optics sits as a layer which actually governs the whole data ecosystem, and it actually enables you to shape the journeys, the data journeys that you have in while you do the analysis. So more importantly, it enables you to understand how data is connected, how a fabric is connected to give you a sense of fulfillment. Likewise, data also plays a vital role in many elements. It's not just about understanding your data, it's not about finding the data, but eventually you need availability of data at different levels and different stages of your analysis, right? So that's where the Optic comes into play, wherein it enables you to understand the whole journey with the data is. Now, but there are challenges with this. There are different perspective to how you understand a cataloging tool or a data analysis tool. The traditional way of data cataloging was quite simple. The requirements were quite simple. The approach was very simple, and the way you understand data was under four elements: is how do you access the data, how do you discover the data, uh, can you get some clarity around that data, and how accurate is your data. These are the four pillars of the data catalog in the past. But as the industry has evolved, as the time has evolved, companies are expecting much more than just these four pillars of the cataloging tool. uh, and if I have to put to perspective those needs, they are more around how can I generate knowledge from this data that I keep on seeing coming into my system. How can I get more integration capabilities to the platform? Is there a specific way that I can consume that my data in a very simple and seamless fashion? And of course, I need a personalized experience to my needs, and to my wants. So this is something that it has taken to a next level, where the augmented data cataloging comes into picture. It's the next level where the interconnectedness of the data across the ecosystem comes into picture, and that's where Optic gives you a collaborative workspaces to make things really really quicker, faster, efficient, and of course for every user that is going to interact with the cataloging tool. So that's the reason we say Optic is not just the cataloging, it's beyond cataloging, and it serves as a data fabric purpose for all our user personas. Now let's take a deeper look about how does this whole fits in, and how do we solve these challenges. But more importantly, to identify those challenges, there are different degrees, these are different levels where each persona is facing this challenge. First of all, to say there are so many tools, or the journey is so much fragmented that a typical enterprise spends at least 3 to 4 tools just to complete the whole data analysis journey. Now it starts from the data discovery tools to data quality, integrating to different dashboard tools, and lastly, if you want to consume it into your downstream application. There are so many layers. It's a fragmented journey, but we want to solve this problem. Again, from the integration perspective, we wanted to give just one click, and you are able to push your data into that application and start consuming, making reports on that data, and so on and so forth. So you just want to make the best use of the data in very quick, less amount of time. And lastly, I also want to understand if in the integratedness, if I can consume that data constantly 24 by 7, and it can be via APIs. I don't want to have a dependency on someone. That's why the self-serve problem comes into play. Every time I need access, every time I need to understand the data, I need to speak to someone, and that is a problem when you're finding the right data. You want the data, but you don't know whom to talk to, right? And there are constantly evolving sources. Today it's MySQL, tomorrow it's Redshift, day after tomorrow is Aurora, and so on and so forth. This list never ends. But do you have the capability to have those over the fly? Do you have the capabilities to, as your demand increases, do you have the capability to connect to these data sources? That's where the problem comes into picture. And if I have to put perspective, the data that I'm looking, is it even accurate? Can this give me the right output for my analysis that I'm looking at, right? Of course, the governance and accessibility plays a vital role, and that's where we see a huge gap where optics solves for different types of personas. Now, when I speak of personas, which are these personas? So there are 5 identified persona which fits into largely in all the brackets. The one is the analyst persona, like the data analyst, the data scientist, who actually do a deep dive and understand what is the data that they can consume and create algorithms on it. And you want to go deeper understanding about the user patterns, and they want to understand is there a way that I can make the best use of the data for my other applications. So that's where they try to identify a bunch of data assets from the ocean of data assets. Now, finding the right data asset from millions of data sets which an organization has, it's a very 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 tedious job, and it takes a lot of time just to find the data assets. And that is where they end up spending at least 80 to 90% of their time in just data discovery. Now, that is a biggest problem that we solve by giving you a semantic, a contextual way of finding the right data assets, and saves a lot of time and gives you trust about the data in different elements. Now, when I say trust, it's user ratings, feedbacks, comments, how many people have been viewing this data asset lately, and so on and so forth. There are different KPIs that get developed when someone accesses your data. Again, for the data engineers, we give end-to-end traceability of the journeys. And this challenge with data engineers is like, if something is not correct at a certain stage of data life cycle, how do a data analyst or a data engineer know? So without having a complete end-to-end lineage understanding, so we provide data lineages, and we do give an opportunity to click and point about what exactly the problem could be, while there are a lot of transformations that comes into play. right? For business analyst, the main goal is, can I just get a consumption layer about on top of my data? Can I just directly plug and play pin? I can just pinpoint a data asset and I want to get data flowing into my reports. Can I do that? Now that's a challenge where they have to either ask the accessors separately offline to the data admins, get the data access, create a report on top of it, save that report, and maybe you have to put that report back to some location, and from there you bring it to a cataloging tool. So that was a very long cycle which we saw, and we have solved this problem just one click. Trust me, this is just one click approach where you will be able to open your data assets into the dashboarding tools right from the platform without having any other third party movement of the data. And this also makes the life of data admins and data owner really simple, because there's a comprehensive way to govern the data asset. There's a comprehensive way to see who sees what until when, right? And it also gives you a complete picture of the data quality around the ecosystem. And lastly, a biggest problem: can I get a singular view of all my data assets in the ecosystem for DPOs and CDOs? Now that's a challenge where a lot of applications struggle. In the Especially the personas do not get a clarity of ground level what's happening in the data asset. Is my data even getting corrected on the regular intervals? Now these are the problems of different personas that we were trying to solve, and after multiple interactions with these personas, what we have come up is in a way where optic solves. Now what is optic and how does that solve the all the above listed problems, right? So the approach towards a data fabric way of solving things were getting an augmented data catalog. Now it's not just about doing a data cataloging anymore. It's about, can you do this five additional items along with data catalog? Can I get some innovation touch to the product? So the answer is yes. Augment data catalog. uh, Augmented data catalog is the approach where you'll be able to consume these data via APIs, and not just tables or Excels or any structured data. Also the unstructured data as well you can catalog. So when I say unstructured data, there are documents, PDF, images, BI reports, DB functions, data models that you have created, and so on and so forth. So all these things are bundled into one application, a single place for you to access, right? We also have 50 plus connectors, and this list is ever growing. While we speak, there are further 5 6 at least connectors which are in parallel developments, and you will see this list keeps on going on and on as per the market requirements. About this, we have given a very intelligent touch with auto recommendations, auto taggings, and so on and so forth. So this builds a proactive way of understanding your data and giving you on a plateau where you can just pick and consume things even before you understand what your data is going to. We have done that, the hard part for you. Now the another element that we bring to the table is the discover the whole discover journey till consumption journey, and everything which comes in between it. So it's discover to provision, provision to consume. The whole journey has been taken care very smoothly and very efficiently. we You can actually identify the hidden entities, you can identify the hidden nuggets which are there. And trust me, this is like on demand analytics that you can play on with the application, with your consumptions that you want to do it. And it has made the life of the different personas really simple and really easy. And we'll throw some light upon how is helping different personas in terms of quantification. We'll cover those in future slides. But moving on to the information asset 360, a very powerful segment that we focused on, wherein we derive the relationships across the data pool automatically. There is a auto relationship which is being driven by knowledge graphs, and that's where that fuels the efficient way of understanding what is your data trying to do, and how can that be connected with all the data assets into the system. We also focus while we do this on the lineage part of it, wherein it tells you how your data has been transformed into different levels, how your data has changed from state A to state B, and what were the influencing parameters while you do that. So that's where the data lineage comes into play, which gives you complete end-to-end understanding and transformation life cycle of your data. And lastly, we have focused on the consumer grade experience, a very, very personalized way of understanding your needs, very specific to your persona, your behavior patterns, and giving you a very more like a very concrete and a, a concise way of looking to what you want. So that's where it comes into it. So you can take away from this slide is, you will see a lot of your data which are sitting in silos are no longer a problem. Your time to value, or the consumption value or time is considerably low right now. It's very quick for you to consume data, and of course that's all boosts your productivity while you're doing a analysis. What you can see in terms of quantification, how does this quantify things for you is, um, well, while you are searching a particular data assets, and that made your journey at least 80% faster. You see your data assets right there in front of screen. If a new data has been added, it's there for your consumption, notifying a new data has been added for your consumption. So you just have to click, you don't have to even search for it. The data flows that has been generated, you will see you are going to save approximately around 2 hours per occurrence, or every time that you're going to use a data, evaluating your data flows. It's just in front of you, giving you a complete end-to-end integrated life cycle. And trust me, this is going to save 85 to 80% of your time in identifying the quality that the data provides. There are dashboards approximately covering all the areas of the data, and it gives you a different KPIs with respect to timeliness, completeness, accuracy, and other KPIs that sits on the data asset. Now that builds your data trustability index. Now that is where you would be confident that this data set is right for my analysis, even thinking twice. There are further KPIs, but the most important business benefit that I can focus right now is, you will have time to focus on important elements of your data journey without having bogged by identifying which data set is right. Can I get the access to that data set? And one click data onboardings, and many much features that you can have. The last part is for, let's say, if I have to say, for the data scientists or data consumption personas, where there's a lot of emphasis given on the KPIs, like, is my data changing every week? Does that impact the data quality of that particular data set? Now we do the under the hood analytics with our smart algorithms, and it keeps on updating each version that the data comes in with. So that's where it saves a lot of time, energy, and effort, and makes life of all the personas really simple, and focuses on the intelligent side of the application, where the knowledge nuggets, the entities, the auto relationships is all out of the box under one roof. So probably all these activities are done by different tools in the market. Each segment has been targeting different tools, but uh, Optic provides everything under one roof, and that's makes your life really simple while doing your data journeys. So hence, shape the fabric of your data journey with Optic. Thank you. Now I'll pass on the next presentation to Shivanan. We'll guide you about how you can do further analysis and analytics, and how do you do the algorithms and ML model management. So that's where you can understand more. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Hey, thanks, Ajit, for that wonderful session on Optic. So, my name is Shivanand. So, I'm the product manager for Refract. So, now let's see how and what problem we are solving with Refract as a product. So, let me quickly share the screen and talk about the next thing in the data commerce world, right? I mean, now we saw how Spectra, Aspect, and Optic are solving the data logistic problems, where data Spectra is helping to do all your data operations, and Aspect is trying to unleash the unstructured data, and Optic is kind of helping us to build that data fabric layer so that everyone in enterprise can know and get used to the data that they need, right? The next thing that is needed for a data commerce, right, is how can we imbibe these predictive analytics into this data, right? How can we add the predictive analytics power on top of this data and make the businesses start leveraging AI for their decision making rather than the traditional ways of doing that, right? So now that's where the refract comes into picture, right? So now, before going into what refract solves, so now if you see in the current data to decision journey, wherever there is a machine learning kind of an uh, use case that the user or the enterprise wants to solve, there is a lot of desperate or siloed environment where this whole development is happening. So one, there is a business requirement. The business people are coming up with their own requirements, and then they pass it on to the developer or the project team, right? Where all the as a project manager, he has to get up with all the onboarding the users and onboarding the data and provisioning the data and setting up this whole infrastructure for him to do the model development and all. Then it will finally be passed on to a data scientist or a team of data scientists who is actually doing the model development. And model development itself is an iterative process. Let's say if you see right from getting the right data provision to him and preparing his data for model building, and even the model building can have multiple types of algorithms or multiple types of data feature engineering. There are a lot of things that happens behind the scene, and finally once we evaluate and explore the outcome by a data scientist, it takes a lot of time. And finally, once the model is ready, a model deployment and all those governance around the model deployment is again owned up by a separate team of engineers. Called ML engineers, and they kind of are responsible for deploying the models and making that readily available for the end users to start consuming that model. And then once the model is deployed, right, at the next step, what happens is you have to start gathering all the information about the model, because as you know, a traditional software is very simple, right? So you know what an outcome you want to expect from that piece of software you're writing. But here the models are mostly probabilistic in nature, so it may change over time based on the behavior. The market might change or the business might change, so the model might deteriorate over time, right? So that's a whole type of model monitoring. And then once the model is deteriorating over time, there has to be retraining or redeploying this whole model, and there's so many things involved in making the model into production, right? So there are multiple teams involved. Let's say there's a business team who is giving you all the business requirement, and then there is a project management team who is doing all the project management, and a team of data scientists who is doing all the model building and all, a team of ML engineers who are doing all the model deployment and monitoring aspect, and finally there's a team of infrastructure who is providing all the infra needs and everything to this model development. This whole thing is so complex and so siloed currently that lot of times, in an enterprise we have seen that uh, the machine learning projects never go out of experimentation mode, right? There was a recent report from a lot of analysts that 85% of machine learning projects fail in enterprise. It never make it past the product, experimentation or a POC stage. uh, i mean it could be because of all these gaps that are there. Let's see, there's so much of effort or so much of time that we are spending on identifying the business use case. But the system is siloed, and people, a real data scientist who is want to develop a model, so he doesn't have a view of what he needs to develop, and a business owner doesn't understand where the models are getting developed, what is an iteration that the model is going through. So this all this put together, so we see that there is a lot of gaps in this, and that's where if we can orchestrate the end-to-end operationalization of this ML life cycle, so I think then it will definitely add a lot of value to get the more predictive powers unlocked out of data, right? So that's where refract is kind of a tool which we are trying to build to improve all this model development efficiency, right? So where Refract comes with a promise that as a data scientist or as a data engineer, you just have to focus on your own problem statements or on the model building and deploying, but all the other things related to governance and deployment, operationalization, infra challenges, everything is kind of in automated through the product itself, so that you tend to spend a lot less time in model development or model operationalization effort. So now, if you see, I mean, where Refract is trying to add value, right? So it is trying to add value in the way the data prep is happening, right? How do we get the data prep time reduced, right? And how the ML operationalization has to be done. I mean, let's say what is an efficient way to do that, and how to get the overall ML project time to delivery increased, right? And in the meanwhile, also making lesser infrastructure footprint, so that we kind of reuse, or I don't know, use serverless and stuff like that, so that the infrastructure cost is reduced on your AI activity. At the same time, increasing the data scientist productivity. Right? These are the 5 different areas where Refract is trying to boost the efficiency. Now let's see how it does that, right? So now it's Refract is an enterprise AI platform which has which serves you in all the 4 pillars of your machine learning journey, right? During your design and build phase, or be it your training or the validation phase, or be it while you want to deploy it and serve it to your real users, or also finally when you want to do all this monitoring and governance on top of your model, right? So this is a central managed or a collaborative platform, right? And with a lot of elements automated behind the scene for a data scientist or data engineer community to reach to their goals in a faster way. So if you go one by one, right? Let's say there are 8 different aspects of any model development, right? So first part is, how do you prepare your data? That's where the assisted data prep comes into picture. The first challenge that you want to address is, in an enterprise, we see that there are n number of data sources available. So let's take an example. Let's say if you're building a model, and let's take an example, simple example of employee churn, right? So we want to build an employee churn model. So then the data that we need from that employee churn could be in various systems, right? I mean, so it could be in Office 365, where we have all these historic uh, charts or messages, the email frequencies and stuff like that. And we have attendance system, where we know all his attendance, how much time he's spending in office, and all those system. And then there is a IT system, where the laptop shutdown time might be there, and the Jira, where all his activity on the model or the code development might be there. And there could also be a GitLab or a GitHub, where all these code pushes and all the pipelines might be there. There are 5 or 6 different places where this data needs to be aggregated and brought into one platform. And then on top of that, you need to massage that data and prepare that data, so that you can create a model which can tell you, like, if this employee is going to churn or not, right? That's the assisted data prep layer, which helps you to do that. I mean, it can help you to connect to various data sources in the enterprise and choose the right data which you want to get into the system, and then help you to prepare your data set, probably combine, merge, remove outliers and stuff like that. So second thing, once the data is ready, now we want to do more model development on top of that. So the current challenges which we see in the model development is, model developers normally tend to use their laptops, or they use some other system and all those things. But now what we are trying to do is, we kind of want to offer a containerized workbench for them, with a choice of their technologies. And it could be Jupyter, or it could be RStudio, or they want to run a Spark workload, or they want to run a VS Code type of an environment. So it's at a click of their button, we have their environment, a reproducible environment created for him, where they can start developing their models. I mean, all the data that they have prepared or accumulated in the previous stage, they can directly mount it onto their containers or their workbench, and they can readily use that data set and start developing their models. So once the model is developed, I mean, let's say, continuing the same example of employee churn, let's say I have created my employee churn model, I validated that and understood, okay, now it is giving, a very good accuracy. Now I think now I want to productionize this, right? What do you mean by productionization? So now, what the next productionization is, like, this model should run probably a weekly or a daily, I don't know, whatever the frequency that we want to choose, or it could be deployed as an API, where people can start consuming this request. They can just pass the parameters to this model and they can start leveraging this outcome of this model, right? That's where the next piece of Refract comes in, where it offers a centralized model registry where every model being created in enterprise can be housed, and all the relevant artifacts of that model and all the version control around that model can be available there. And then people can start directly use our APIs to deploy that, or use our UI to deploy that without having to spend a lot of time on how do we operation, on identifying and understanding, solving the challenges of operationalization. So all the various aspects of automation are kind of a baked in. So you just, I mean, it's just a one click of a button for an data scientist, and the model will be deployed and will be readily served to the end user. And so probably in this case, it might be the model can be deployed or scheduled. That's why every day it runs and comes up with a list of people who the model thinks might be churning in the next 6 months or next 3 months or whatever, I mean, based on the use case it is. And while this is happening, let's say once the model is deployed, the next part is how do we monitor that? How do we monitor this? Since let's say it might happen, model can go stale. Right? I mean, it might happen, model accuracy might change over time, or the input to the model might itself change. I mean, let's say some we have seen in the COVID scenario that how most of the people moved from, let's say the travel has reduced drastically, and probably the spend pattern changed heavily. People were doing a lot of cash transaction before that, and after that it was most of the digital transactions were adopted. So the model input to the model got changed. So that's why I think the model monitoring is one of the very important things, which is also baked into the platform. So each model that is getting deployed or managed into the platform automatically is also going through a lot of monitoring behind the scene. And if there is any change or any threshold breach that happens, the system itself can start throwing an alert to you, so that you know when to tune the model, when to create a newer version of the model, and stuff like that. And final couple of things on the governance aspect. I think it's very important that we have a complete governance on this. Governance could be uh, just the overall process of model development, or the reproducibility of this whole thing. I mean, let's say what model was trained on what data or what version of code and stuff like that, or it's the lineage. I mean, this model was trained on which version of data. So it's a lot of, or also could be who should use this model and all those things, right? So all this enterprise-wide governance and security is kind of already baked into the platform, along with model explanations, which we recently added to our product, which can help us to uncover the model, I mean, under the scene working of the model, which can help you to uh, debug the model better or trust the model better and all those things, right? So these 6 pillars, of model development, the data prep to deployment and monitoring and interpretability, can really help you to scale your models or in a faster or in a more efficient way. So what we have seen with our customer with these functionalities in place, it typically reduces your data preparation time by like 90%. I mean, so you can reduce your, I mean, a lot of time normally goes into data prep, and our system tries to reduce that by over 90%. And the time to delivery of projects, I mean, at least 50% is where what we see is like time to delivery of the ML project has reduced. And it also increases a lot of productivity to the users, I mean, for the data scientists. I mean, because data scientists are involved in doing a lot of manual or grunt work around setting up the platform, setting up the system infrastructure, and understanding the data and all those things, that kinds of automated and really boosts up the data scientist productivity. And it also, for an ML engineer, I mean, there are a lot of tasks which are already automated. So you need a lesser number of ML engineers team to manage a larger portfolio of models. And as we are using a lot of containerized and uh, serverless architecture, I mean, so you will have a very reduced memory footprint, because it's like a use and throw type of an architecture, where you, whenever you train a model or when you deploy a model, it is the system the model consumes infrastructure and it throws away once that work is done, right? So this all put together, I think we see that it really increases the overall time of model operationalization by at least 2 times, right? So this is how Refract as a product, I mean, we just scratch the surface of how this Refract is trying to solve the MLOps problem, and also trying to increase the time to market, or probably increase or decrease the time to market for the model operationalization, right? So with this, probably I hope you got a gist of the product. I'll just hand it over to Itti, so who would talk about Lumen, which is more around once this model is operationalized, how the business users can start consuming the outcome of the overall data commerce through the augmented analytics and stuff like that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Shiva. Hello, everyone. My name is Iti Singh, and I am the product manager of Lumen. Lumen is the fifth product in our Fosfor Data to Decisions product suite. And Lumen is an augmented analytics product which enables end users and business users to get to actionable insights when and where they need it. All right. So I am going to be talking about the last phase of the data to decisions life cycle, right? So in the first few phases, you've identified the right data, you've extracted the data, you've built data pipelines, built models, operationalized. So this is where all of that work kind of comes to fruition, where you make all of that work available as insights in maybe insights dashboards or reports for business users to power their decisions. But here's an interesting thing. We have been looking at this last phase where we kind of use insights to power decisions. And across the industry, we are noticing a trend. We are seeing that the insights are not really enabling business users to take better decisions, right? And in fact, a recent research by Forrester suggests that nearly 49% of all decisions are being made on quantitative information, whereas the rest is being made on qualitative information or gut feel. And a very few percent of organizations are truly insights driven. So, what is this last mile problem that we are seeing? What is the challenge we are seeing in actually enabling decision intelligence via the insights that we are producing, right? So, if I really think about it, the challenges can be broadly bucketed into these three categories: accessibility of insights, actionability of insights, and how easily can business users adopt the tools that provide these insights. So, what do I mean by actionability? Well, the insights that are being provided to the business users via these dashboards or tools, are they really enabling business users to take a decision? Are they providing them with the right contextual insights or telling them what's really happening so that they can drive a decision, right? So, for example, if a business user is looking at their sales metrics and they're saying that there is a decline in their sales metric, are they getting the insights as to why that has happened? What are the drivers of that change? So that they can take action on it, right? So, are their insights actionable? Second thing is about accessibility, right? How easy is it for them to actually access these insights? Can they find the right insight at the right time? Is it easy for them to kind of look at all their information and say, hey, that is an insight that I need to be looking at? And finally, adoption. So if you really look at it, all these tools that are providing insights, you want business users to be able to use these tools. Are they actually able to use these tools easily? Right? Are they actually able to get to the insights that they need easily? Right? Are they able to understand the insight or even trust the insights that they're getting when it's powered by, these models or advanced algorithms? Are they able to understand what's happening? Right? So these are the key things that really is hampering business users from actually getting to the insights that can power their decisions. So the question here is, so what can we do about it, right? How do we solve for it? Well, in brief, the answer to this is augmentation. Augmenting the business users' capabilities to discover insights on their own, identify the right insights on their own, and to push those insights into their decisions. And I'm not the only one saying it, right? We are hearing that even the market is saying that augmentation is going to become very key in the next couple of years, right? So if you're right now wondering, so how do we go about enabling business users with these augmented analytics capabilities? How do we really augment their decisioning process? Well, let me talk about how we do it at Lumen. So at Lumen, we really look at how business users are kind of taking these, how business users are actually accessing these insights. And then then we have enabled business users to really get to the right insights and transform their curiosity to limitless insights, right? And how? Well, first of all, we enable business users to ask whatever query that they might have, and ask not just in terms of exploring, but even going ahead and doing a deep dive or running a forecast or even running a simulation. And when business user ask, Lumen will also give them contextual insight narratives to explain to them what has happened or why is it happening, or what does the forecast look like, right? But that's not all. Lumen's also working in the backend all the time to look at any anomalous trends and will alert the business users of any such anomalous trends and tell them where it is happening so that they can go ahead and look at what's happening there. Right now, finally, with all of this happening, the other thing is, because we have so many advanced algorithms going in, we wanted to make sure that every business user who really uses Lumen is very comfortable using Lumen as well and can trust the insight that they're getting from Lumen. So for all our advanced questions, we also explain to the business user. Lumen does that actually. Lumen explains to the business user how did Lumen arrive at that particular insight. And the business user is just more confident of what they see on Lumen. Finally, as the business user keeps building their insight story or their insights analysis with Lumen's workspaces, they can very quickly build that entire story on Lumen itself and collaborate with their peers. Next most important thing, with all of these augmented analytics products, the basic thing is how quickly can we enable business users with these capabilities, right? With our configuration layer, we can very easily set up use cases, and any analyst can set up the use cases on Lumen and enable business users within a week so that they can kind of actually harness the potential of augmented analytics. And if the business users has some other business applications that they are using, you can even compose Lumen with those particular applications with our SDKs and our APIs. And as they say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And, like the slide very clearly says, with Lumen, we have been able to realize much better operational efficiencies and a much higher rate of adoption across the board. And not just for one industry, but across all industries. For example, for a pharma organization with Lumen, we were able to very quickly identify any anomalous trends in their data. And the business users became so comfortable using our product that we are seeing nearly 2,000 questions being asked on our product in a month by business users. Well, that was my time. My name is Iti, and now I will pass it on to Ashish to close out the session. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your time. I hope you were able to get a glimpse into each of the awesome product offerings we have at Fosfor. I just want to sum up, all that we stand for and what we are doing. So Fosfor really is an integrated suite of product offering that helps businesses monetize data at speed and scale. And we do that by focusing on the data to decisions journey, classically at 4 levels, right? One, we help organizations organize the data, right? The building blocks. So basically, what is the fastest way to harness your structured and unstructured data? And once you've done that, we want to empower the data consumers within an organization to be able to discover, provision, and consume the assets available within an organization. And that's how we democratize it. And once we've enabled that, now is where we want to scale it up quickly, and that scalability comes through maximizing, and that's where Refract sits in for enabling scaling up AI-based applications as quickly as possible, and eventually to really bring data to that last segue of decision journey is where we personalize. We want to give the business users a journey of what they are really looking for, experience driven insights, and these again are embedded across an analytics value chain, from descriptive to prescriptive and everything in between. So that's really what we do. And to sum it up again, this is a 5-product offering from Spectra, Aspect, Optic, Refract to Lumen. We are very, very excited about data, and we definitely want to be known in the data commerce space. Thank you so much. To know more about us, please do reach out to fosfor.com. You can connect with any of the speakers that you saw on LinkedIn, and we'll be very, very excited to take your questions and get into deeper discussions as we build this understanding of the evolution of data and take it to the next level. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye.